this fire-retardant fabric behaves differently. I know what I'll do to see what's up. Set it on fire. Greetings fellow humans and welcome to a new instalment in my outfit making for the 2021 Foundations Revealed contest. Today I'm making a skirt. Pretty much I'm making a walking skirt. I am using this, which is an excerpt from the Keystone Guide to Jacket and Dressmaking. Now, the way this is written is it takes an example waist measurement of 24 inches. My waist is not 24 inches, it's about 32, so I did some handy cross multiplication to figure out the distances that I needed to plot things out on my curve of the waist for this pattern. I think I've got it right, but who really knows? I think the Keystone Guide was published in 1895, so it is a little earlier than the time I was aiming for, about turn of the century. But I feel like it's perfectly reasonable to use an older pattern because they didn't change all that much, to be honest. As with all the other items that I'm making in this outfit, I am doing my best to use as many upcycled or recycled materials as possible, and to that end, I have curtains. This is one of 4 curtains. This one is still in curtain form, but the rest of them have had their seams and their hems ripped, and I'm now going to go and iron them so that I can get them nice and crisp and clean to put my pattern pieces on and cut them out. I'm actually going into this one with a little bit more experience than I have the other items in this because I have made skirts before. I've never made a skirt like this. Have I ever drafted a pattern before? No. Have I ever tried to make historical garments before? No. Have I ever worked from historical sources? No. Have I ever done proper tailoring? No. So have I ever done anything like this before in my life? No, I have not. But I feel a little bit more confident going into this than previous projects in this series.
I started the process of drafting the pattern. I won't go into the details of it because you can read the Keystone Guide yourself if you want the nitty-gritty of the pattern drafting instructions. What I will say is that this is a big pattern and requires wider paper than I have, which is why there is masking tape everywhere. There are 3 options for this pattern: a straight skirt, a bell skirt, and an ultra full skirt that gets named the umbrella skirt. I chose the mid-range bell skirt.
So we seem to have hit the first hiccup in this project very early. I went to go do my ironing, thought everything was grand. And as soon as I started ironing what I thought was normal cotton, learned some stuff. Something I didn't mention earlier is that this material is fire retardant, and I hadn't really thought about that affecting the way that the material behaves in relation to things like heat, but apparently it does. It didn't behave like any material I've ever worked with before. It seems to shrink up like polyester would under high heat, but it doesn't really behave like polyester or nylon really does. I then had the genius idea of doing a burn test, but this is fire retardant material, so it doesn't behave like non-fire retardant material when you try to set it on fire. From doing a burn test, I have deducted some things, including that there absolutely is some natural fibre content in this fabric, because it does burn. It doesn't just shrivel up into plastic the way that polyester or nylon would, but also it doesn't shred the way cotton would, and it doesn't entirely behave like a poly-cotton blend would. So I am very confused. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I think I might just try ironing this fabric on a very low heat and make the skirt anyway. If nothing else, it will be a learning experience, and then if I find fabric I like better, I can make another skirt. There's something particularly funny about, oh, this fire-retardant fabric behaves differently. I know what I'll do to see what's up. Set it on fire. We've hit the hiccup early. Hopefully that means the rest will be smooth sailing, although I doubt it.
Having decided to plough ahead, I laid my fabric out with the front piece weighed down on top and outlined it in chalk, adding some seam allowances as the pattern didn't include them. I cut out the front piece, remembering to cut out the dart. I laid out a single layer of fabric and cut out one back panel, and to ensure the stripes on both back panels matched, I flipped the pattern piece over to cut out the next one and actually laid the first one I cut on top, just to check everything would match up nicely. I cut a long strip for the waistband, pinned up the centre back seam, and sewed it.
Got my pin cushion. Because I'm currently joining 2 pieces on the bias, I'm really trying to avoid any tension on this fabric as it's going under the feed dogs, because I don't want to stretch it accidentally.
Because this is a woven fabric that frays quite badly, I thought it would be best to do French seams.
So I've done the centre back seam and I've done all of my darts, and I now need to do plackets and pockets, pocket singular, which I've cut out, but I'm not going to do tonight because it's 11:30 now. I'm going to come back and do all of that tomorrow. Finishing it should only take me a couple of hours at the most. Putting on the placket, putting on pockets, pocket singular, doing the side seams, putting on the waistband and putting on the facings. That's kind of it. Fingers crossed. If nothing else is confusing or difficult, this might be not a really stressful project. I'm gonna go drink some tea and eat some chocolate. That's my plan. So hello. It is not the next day. It is the next day after the next day. Yesterday I had every intention to do much sewing, but it was a cold and snowy day, and so instead I decided that it would be a perfect time to cuddle up under blankets with a hot drink and a cat and do some reading. And it was lovely. I'm very glad that I took that time to have a nice chill one and watch the snowfall. Made me very happy. This morning I got up, I made myself my coffee, and I am raring to go. But I realised I made an error. This skirt is meant to have a back closure. I have sewn up the back seam. I can't be asked to rip open and redo that seam, so I'm giving it a side closure on one side and a pocket on the other. That's my plan. Adapt, overcome, etc. This is such a chill project after having done that flippin' blouse. Although there have been hiccups, it's chill. Feel fine about that. Not a big deal. Oh, the fabric. Me and Hamish were trying to figure it out. We ended up watching some videos of fire retardant cotton being burned and fire retardant polyesters being burned, and it doesn't quite behave like either. So we think it's a fire retardant, so treated polycotton. Maybe. I'm gonna finish my coffee and then I'm gonna go get sewing.
I attached the placket pieces and pocket bag to the relevant skirt pieces and then moved on to the side seams. It was a little tough to figure out exactly how to French seam the fabric around those areas, but I did my best to make it work and did manage to catch everything I needed to in the seams. I then started pinning the skirt to the waistband, pleating the back so as to create a nice little box pleat in the centre back. I sewed all of that in place, struggling just a little over the bulk of the pleats.
Jesus.
And then paused to test out how it fit before I spent a load of time hand stitching the front of the waistband down with the tiniest felling stitches I could manage.
So it is about 11:30. I've spent the last little while felling down the outside of the waistband and the facing for the buttonholes and the facing for the bottom of the skirt as well. So I have a skirt. It doesn't have buttonholes or buttons yet. That is going to be a job for future Emily to deal with. It has a functional pocket, which I'm very excited about. Tomorrow I'm going to get up, find my buttons, make some buttonholes, and then we'll be done. I can say it will be an excellent winter skirt because just sitting with this across my lap while I was hand sewing it, oh my goodness, it was toasty. Oh, and I'll need to put a hook and eye on the waistband. That's the job for tomorrow. Night night.
I went looking and I found some nice brass look buttons, but could only find 5 of them. As I want my waistcoat buttons to match the skirt, I had to get a little creative with some secondary buttons. My plan was to use one of the brass buttons on the outside and then have secret plain boring buttons on the inside, keeping everything in its proper place. I created my buttonholes, sewed on my buttons and my hook and eye, and thus the walking skirt was finished.
Okay, well, ta-da! We're here at the end of another project. Currently sat in said skirt. I'm really chuffed with how this came out. I couldn't really have asked for more. It's comfy, it's cozy, it's era appropriate. The chevron that's ended up happening because of the stripes looks excellent and I'm thrilled with it. The one thing I will say about this skirt is this fabric picks up cat hair like nothing I have ever seen. And we have two relatively fluffy cats. The fabric was just a mystery to me, but it seems to have turned out okay. I think it looks really good. I made it much shorter than I made the petticoat, and I think I need to go back and put a new waistband on my petticoat because it's too long and it's going to stick out the bottom of this, which I'm sure is a Victorian fashion faux pas. This was a really chill project, and if anyone is interested in making historical garments and hasn't drafted a pattern before, this would be an excellent one to start with. And thinking about it, I probably should have started with this one because it is actually one of the simplest items I've made. So instead of starting with that blasted blouse or the ruffles from hell on the petticoat, I probably should have started with this one. But hey ho, we're here now. So I do have sort of a complete outfit. I do still want to make my waistcoat, even if I'm not going to make it in time for the foundations revealed deadline. But I do have some other little bits and bobs that I want to make to really bring this outfit together. So over the next couple of weeks, those videos will be coming out. Overall, I think I had to sew a total of like 7 seams and do some hand felling and like put in 3 buttonholes. It was a nice calm project. This isn't a style of skirt I would normally wear. A floor-length skirt is not usually my jam, but I'm actually really into it and I think it suits my body really well. I am currently corseted. That obviously makes a difference. Floor-length skirts just really do a lot to make waists look tiny, and that can be really striking. Don't know that I've got that much to say about this one. There's been no huge patterning issues, no huge sewing issues, there's been no machine malfunctions. It's all gone relatively smoothly. I'm really happy with this skirt. I'm really glad I made it. I'll put a link in the description to the archive where you can find the Keystone guide. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this as much as I enjoyed making it. If you would like to see other stuff I get up to, then maybe subscribe to my channel. Stick around. Keep hanging out. That'd be nice. If you like this video, give it a like. If you'd like to support me and help me keep making projects like this, I have a Patreon. Patreon.com/EmilySnee. You can go check stuff out there. I do little behind the scenes updates and ask people what project I should make next. I also do post-project vlogs for every single project that I make. I hope everything is okay in your world, and I'll see you guys next time. Try again. Okay. Come on. There we go. Thought I'd ripped that then. So where are we at? Well, this is how you can tell I'm in a chaotic mood. This is just all of the scraps that I cut off of the pieces I was cutting. I've just dumped them on the floor. And to be honest, I think I'm going to leave them on the floor for tonight.